to pray. There's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kira's show here. Now then, whenever we last left off, Deku, he had just gotten, well, he was the first person to arrive and find out exactly what their challenge was supposed to be. You are supposed to fight a space marine. Now, Deku, he would be waiting, as the Marines could see him clearly exercising and trying to train himself physically, since he understands that he failed, so he wants to make up for it, along with him actually asking if he can get his paint suit, which the Marines, they kinda wouldn't really care. They would just be instructing Deku that he will need to at least keep himself physically ready for the challenges at hand. Will he be ready for them? To which he would just say yes. As one of the Marines would just point to the ship saying that he may go get his gear. As Deku would leave, he would put on the suit and actually increase his voltage, which would put him from around 300 currently. I believe I said he was at 215, so let's actually double that, putting around 550 volts. Now, Deku, he would go outside and begin to start running around and doing exercises, as he's waiting for more people to arrive. While that's happening, let us cut back to roughly a year before. Deku had just been jettisoned out of the ship, basically, since they were doing their trials and their training. The Marines think that this will be perfect. The children, they know exactly what they need to do, so they should be able to be on their own. Even then, those that fail, they understand. Now, as one Marine would just turn, asking the sister where do they need to go for their trials. To which they would just say that they need to go back to the planet they left. Which the brothers would be somewhat confused, asking if they're going to go to another one or a different one. Why there? Well, actually, we do need to go there first, but that's not even half of it. Their trials will be taking place on Earth. Really? They're going back to Earth early now. Well, yes. Sadly, there are duties on Earth that call to our attention. Along with, I believe, a message came through. It is talking about how someone may be growing suspicious of the children missing. Well, that would make sense. But exactly who is it? It's some local hero. He is going to blow the whistle on the entire thing. They know that we took the children and moved them to a different church, as we said. But that's just it. They cannot find any record of this church. So the people on Earth have been building one in the Himalayas, getting things ready, along with making a fake town while we were gone. This, however, is just it. The town, it is under suspicion. We need to go back there now, before the heroes do arrive. The Marine, understanding, plotting a course straight for Earth, as he would spend the next 2 weeks heading in that direction. Momo and Kirishima, they have basically been training and actually talking, along with Ochako somewhat joining their conversations and talking with them. Them basically learning more about her. Her backstory is that apparently, shortly after she was born, her father lost his job, and they were already having trouble getting by. so he thought their best chance would be to put her in an orphanage for a while. That was all said and good, but yeah, the orphanage, they had to call and tell her about something. An incident happened with her parents, so they were never able to retrieve her as they planned, or at least that's the story she was told. She's not really sure, but at least it was the right place. Just think about it though, we're here in space. This is still new to me. As far back as I can remember, this is most of the stuff I've ever known. Now, after a full month since Deku left the ship, so another 2 weeks, they would arrive back on Earth. As they would be in this town. The ship would be hidden, and things are somewhat normal. This place basically somewhat being a large city. More modern and different from what they're used to. They even have their own heroes. Now, I'm putting that word in quotes because everyone here is a supporter of the Titans, the Space Marines. I almost said, why was I going to say Titans? Titanfall. That's right. Anyways, now they are all supporters of the Space Marines. They are all putting on an act. Some have stronger quirks than others, so they are the local heroes. As one man would arrive, All Might. Now, All Might was told that he is to head to this town, since this hero, who's been looking into it, actually was talking with Nezu. He kinda was trying to figure out what they were doing with so many orphans. And it was a bit tricky. All Might, he is heading to this town, as he would arrive somewhat being in shock. This place is its own secret civilization. It's interesting, it's modern, it's new, it's something All Might's never seen before. Actually, maybe even a bit more advanced than Japan. Now, All Might, he has just stepped into town. As the Marines, they would get rid of their armor and change into their regular clothes. Basically, they would all change into priest uniforms. As they would have been there to meet All Might and greet him. All Might, seeing these men, they're basically the same size as him, and they all do support the same build. So they clearly all share the same quirk, which is quite fascinating. He has to tell Nezu about this, it's basically unheard of. As All Might would shake one of their hands, saying that it's a pleasure to be here, but this place, why have I never heard of it? Well, actually, we do try and keep things to ourselves. However, we are mostly self-sufficient and sustaining. As you can clearly tell, this town, we have virtually no villains here. As the man, he is trying to at least make it sound like there is some problems with this place. Otherwise, it just looks too suspicious. All Might asking what he means. The man would go on saying that lately there's been local problems with villains, but it's nothing that their heroes have not been able to take care of. Now, they would keep going over explanations, giving All Might details, what he needs, and everything they can. Along with All Might actually doing one thing that he didn't really think he would need to do. Check in on the children, or the kids. This is a bit weird, however, because they have an all-girl academy and an all-boy academy. Basically, they've separated the kids, and he would go to see every one of them, finding their names, their records, and everything about them. all the females that were in the group with the initiates, they are being trained by the sisters, them posing as teachers when they need to. While everyone at the boy academy, these are not the real, students, as you can all say. These are people who are given false identities and actually given a role to play. All Might's meeting with each one of them. They are all roughly the same age, born the same day, and have at least fit the description of each children or child they have met, and have been described. So, now after All Might meets through everyone, he would eventually have to leave, as they would all throw off the facade. Everyone basically being happy that they were able to convince him. As Momo and Kirishima, they would basically pull off these fake wigs, saying that they can't believe that actually worked. You're telling me. Besides, as she would just hold this thing up, saying that black was never really her color. You're telling me. You know how hard it is to wear this thing? It's itchy. And annoying. At least it's finally gone. As they would all basically stand up, and the sister would begin yelling at them, saying that they will be conducting training. Now, does everyone understand this? As everyone will begin to cheer. As their training would consist of basically building chemical tolerances, more physical and demanding workouts, which would most likely break, if not injure, quite a lot of people, building more immunities, and actually learning more about different subjects. Basically pushing yourself to the physical limit in each category, along with seeing and actually learning more history from the librarian, facing more and more, things, pushing every single aspect of your being to its physical limits, mentally and most likely dangerously. Now then, we will cut back over to Deku. Well, time to skip back over to him. That was happening that was happening in the past. Now, eventually, Deku, he would be training, as every other guy there would arrive. There are 49, and they would all be told the same thing Deku was, as they are all separately going through combat, and eventually more and more people would arrive. The Marine would send another ping, saying that if there are any more candidates, they need to arrive within the next hour. Otherwise, they will assume everyone is dead. Now, with that, they would begin. The 49 that went with Deku, or that came after Deku, they would be physically, they would be put into a physical brawl with the Space Marines. And they would all fail. Now, after that happens, they would all come back, as they all have a sour look on their face. Deku does too. Quite a lot of people do notice this, as the Marines basically state that this is going to be the hardest physical challenge yet. Each individual test, that was all fine and good. But, as he would point all 50 of these initiates, saying that they have passed. So, they will assume everyone here would. Now, this next task will be difficult, as it involves each one of you fighting for the right to be the best. Like no one ever was. Now, with that being said, they would continue, giving more and more explanations as Deku, he would hear a sound. The Marines, they would step back saying that this battle will be against themselves and each other. as everyone would basically drop to the ground, feeling every part of their being and everything hurting more and more from the inside, along with them being basically introduced and having their systems exposed to a very, very powerful hallucinogen, which can cause extreme pain and bouts of rage. Now, Deku, he would be getting up. He can feel the pain in his body and his lungs. This is bad. So exactly what is happening? As things start changing around Deku, everyone he knows and sees, they're turning into this strange creature he saw aboard the spaceship. Along with Deku feeling everything, someone just black out. As he can feel his scars burning and hurting. As he would lunge forward to the closest person to him and begin to beat and actually take them down. Everyone beginning to brawl. They are basically fighting for physical dominance. And in the most primal way they can. This will be something the Marines, they somewhat changed and planned. There's nothing more dangerous than an animal whenever it's backed into a corner. The most primal parts of man are the most dangerous. So, this will be the absolute challenge to prove which of them will be the strongest. Now, they would all begin to punch into each other and actually start fighting. As hours upon hours would pass, whatever is in their system is still not left. Deku, he can still feel his knuckles. They feel runny and he's not sure why. He's just been punching into them as he just keeps trying to fling off goop that's on his hands. This isn't working. As he begins to hear something in his head. Rage and wrath. This is new. You embody most of me, but exactly what more do you want? As Deku would begin to scream, shouting to get out of his head. As he continues on and on and on. Now, Deku begins to scream this over and over and over again. As Sanith would then start talking. He can hear and see everything Deku's going through, the changes in his mental state, and exactly what is going on. They want to know Deku's fate, and they're plotting against him. They're plotting against the Marines. This boy, he seems to be powerful, and a valuable asset to them. If they can change his allegiances, then this will truly be something that is in their favor. Now, Nurgle, he could hear and see Deku's desires, feeding off them, and they're powerful. Whatever Deku desires truly must be intense, and something he absolutely needs. It is not just that. This boy has caught his intention ever since he has survived that initial encounter in space. The boy, he would have, and actually should have, died if it wasn't for Seneth changing the outcome. This boy truly is special. If even one of their brothers, or one of his brothers, actually did change it, what happens? Destiny should not have been changed in this way, however, as the results can be catastrophic. Now, Deku would fall to his knees as he just keeps shouting this over and over and over again. The Marines, they're not sure what's going on. Deku's hallucinations, they seem to have been getting more and more intense. As someone would walk over, kicking Deku in the head. Deku falling backwards, as he would look up to see a space marine. Except this one isn't how Deku sees them. This one has melting skin and charred flesh. As the outfit seems wrong. discolored and, well, misshapen. As the giant figure would just bring their hand up, ripping off the helmet, revealing a skull, which Deku would immediately just smash in their face, as hard as possible. The boy Deku punched actually does get sent flying into another crowd. Deku running in and actually beginning to beat into and actually try and tear apart everyone he can. Every one of them has amped strength, so this is basically just who can outlast who. And who has the will, who has the bravery, who has what it takes. Now, eventually, Deku and another person will be the last one standing. Deku breathing heavily as he wipes away his mouth with his good hand. He's broken every single knuckle on his left hand. His right one, he can barely hold up either. He's too exhausted. Along with his suit is providing him constant pain. This, it is a bit different. Deku, he can somewhat feel himself black out. Deku's vision is getting blurry. And he can actually feel himself somewhat starting to weaken, as he actually would have dropped down to one of his knees, panting very heavily as one of his eyes is shut, and he would begin to fall over. Before he can, however, he would have brought his hand outwards, basically holding himself up, as he would do something the Marines are not even sure how to feel about. Watching him actually smash his broken hand into the ground, screaming, sending more and more adrenaline into his system. Now, Deku, he would just get back up as he would charge forward. The boy doing the same. These two meeting with a punch to each other's faces. Deku not even carrying a block, as he would be smashing over and over with his right hand, and the boy, he would be doing the same. Except he's also using his left arm to actually try and jab up into Deku's ribs, and just fight however they can. Now, Deku, he would have done something that the person fighting him would not have expected, as he would have brought his left hand upwards, smashing upwards into their chin, as he would have done so smashing into their chest, sending them flying, landing on two of the people that have basically passed out. Now, with that, Deku, he can actually feel himself faltering. His legs would give out on him. As that happens, the person would run back over, Deku actually being punched across the face, and his shirt being grabbed. He begins to be beaten and actually slapped around, as he would have been able to bite into this person's hand and sock them across the face once again. As the two would stand back up, panting very, very heavily. Now, Deku would begin to scream that he just said to leave him alone. Now, Deku and this boy would charge forward, Deku socking him directly upwards in the gut and going to throw out his left arm. The boy socking Deku across the face with his left hand and then doing so with his right. This time, the punch does break Deku's nose. Deku socking him across the face, as the two begin to fall. Now, Sanish, he sees the outcome. The boy will lose. Let us change that. As Deku's leg slides outward. This would keep Deku standing, as the other boy would fall. Deku has won, but he doesn't know that he was supposed to lose. He just knows that he was able to stay standing, as he's panting heavily. He can't feel anything in his body. He's not sure how much damage he's taken. The Marines finally walking over, as they would tell Deku that he will be the first to be the newest brother. The newest and latest person to join the Space Marines. They may tell legends of you one day. Now, let us begin. Deku being taken away, as he would be given his surgery, being implanted with what he needs to now, and whenever he gets older, he will be implanted with more and more. Now, Deku, he would be injected and actually implanted with the gene seed, made for his own body. Now, since this gene seed is basically based off of and actually changed to fit his own custom biology, this means that it will adapt to improve the best parts of him. So, every organ and actually every piece of the gene seed, or any organ implanted into his body, they have actually been modified, somewhat heavier than they should have been. Now, with that being said, this means that Deku, he won't lose certain aspects of the normal body he would or should have. Now, I think everyone who knows about the Space Marines know exactly what I mean by that. So, just understand, I'm not going to say it outright, but you know. Now, with that being said, this means that Deku, he will amplify and actually increase in anything he is good at, and adept to. Now, that is going to be where I leave this part off of, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and have an amazing day. I will catch you guys tomorrow. I am probably going to have to wake up early and do something. Oh, that's always fun.